PD님, JYP, still in the game. It's kind of incredible, you know, when you think about it. And he does so many different things, the different shows, making new groups, still producing. So he works with every group, right? Like whether it's ITZY or Twice or, you know, whoever, he's in there in the recording studio working with them. He's in there in the dance rooms going over the choreographies and just like when you watch on the shows, and he points out certain things about, okay, well, this, you know, your lines here, you extend the arm, right? Like he does all that very consistently. And I mean, the dude's like 50 and he's still going pretty strong, man. And just seems to take on more and more. Outside of the music stuff, he's always engaged in, you know, these sort of community sports things, holding basketball tournaments, and just like he's incredibly active, man. You know, we should all be so lucky, man. I hope, you know, and not that far off, but, you know, when I'm 50, I can still move around and I can still, you know, be as active, you know. It is something that is pretty impressive. But he's come out with this song called Changed Man, and this looks interesting. I did check out like a couple of the teaser bits that were available, and it's an interesting, you know, visual, and the concept. I think there's some stuff that's being related to in the video from, you know, what's happening, let's say in real life. But let's check it out. I have no idea what to expect. All I know is that it's JYP. So.
자, 이번 순서는요, 아주 특별한 재결합 무대인데요. 30년 만에 함께 무대에 오르는 80년대 아이콘 박진영 씨와 김원선 씨를 무대 위로 모시도록 하겠습니다. 나와주세요. 우리 박진영.
Hold on. And Kim Won-sun, is she also, I mean, she's a legit dancer, right? Like, isn't she?
박진영 씨와 김원선 씨는 80년대에도 최고의 무대를 보여주셨었는데, 와, 이렇게 30년 만에 함께 다시 무대를 선 기분 어떠십니까?
진영 씨와는 그 예전에 좋은 추억들이 많았는데 이렇게라도 만나게 돼서 너무 기쁩니다.
박진영 씨는요?
그때 모습 그대로신 것 같아요. 또 함께 30년 전에 했던 무대를 다시 하게 돼서 정말 뜻깊게 생각합니다.
두 분의 합동 무대 지금 바로 시작합니다.
난 어차피 아무도 모르니까 아쉬움은 내 마음 속에서만 우리 흔들려도 네 눈엔 안 보여 맘속에서 나를 넘어 별을 지나서 날 나도 절대 안 보여줘 완벽한 내 control 젠틀하게 돌아서 내 아쉬운 맘은 묻어둔 채 I'm a change man I'm a change man I'm a change man I'm a change man I'm a change man
Ah, there's something very sweet and obviously nostalgic about it, but it's an 80s love song. Um, mm. Well, I didn't expect it to hit like that in the end there, but there was something about that last shot. But it's an 80s love song, and it makes sense, you know, because it's JYP. I think about it now. Yeah, the whole like synth retro wave sound and aesthetic. That's something that works perfectly, right? Especially for JYP. I'm seeing some of these backgrounds that are being used on the stage, right? And like these backgrounds, like you can find them on YouTube. You can find them, to be used for videos and stuff. But that sort of neon purple and like that gradient, right, between like yellows and purples and stuff, and a very cool sort of cyberpunk type of aesthetic, right? That makes sense. And man, this is like it's straight up 80s dance pop, right? It's got that old school synth sound in it, which I know JYP probably loves that so much. And they did like very cool stuff with the video, making it look like those older recordings. The 80s was the beginning of the digital age. There was a lot of stuff that was still, it's like half analog, you know what I mean? Like not everything is completely digital yet. It slowly starts to emerge in things like the sound of the synthesizer, and but you have that very punchy percussion. The drum work in here is like very 80s. It's the most obvious part is going to be the synth sound, but if you listen carefully to the drums, it's like, yeah, like this is like almost like a time capsule. Everything about it is very throwback. Like these are old synth sounds and old drum sounds, and man, and it was interesting too, like this story that it's telling about, because he's remembering, like and I thought it was interesting the way it starts off on a stage, because we see that so much with these shows like Nizzy Project and A2K and stuff, like the way that the stage is set up, and then, okay, you guys are going to do performance, and then he sits there and watches, and I'm sure he's he watches, like, especially the Nizzy Project too, the guys who are dancing, and I'm sure he's like, oh man, like stuff takes him back, like he remembers what it was like to be young and to be going for it and performing and stuff. And but the outfits are great, like all the the 80s stuff, the crazy leather jacket, the hair, dude, the big hair. She has like the massive hair, the big bow, this, you know what I mean, like all that 80s aesthetic stuff is really, really on point. Like it's really well done, and it's extremely nostalgic. It takes me back, and it's you see how they're like I guess the story goes that they start off together pretty young, there's like a level of fame and notoriety that comes, like, you become famous, and being that sort of in that idol, industry, right? And so you see, like, he has to sneak off and kind of like hide, and they have to meet in a clandestine manner because otherwise they'll be swarmed. And then she ends up getting, you know, hounded by fans, the stands from back in their time, right? Like back in the 80s, right? There were like really, really hardcore fans. And so they're giving her all this bad treatment because they, don't want her to be in that spot. Like they don't want her to take that, they want to at least have this idea that JYP is somehow attainable. And her being not just an obvious counterpart in terms of being a woman, but also she's got talent. Like she's on that level. And so, then they're calling and it's obviously they're very torn up during the conversation that they're having, and the JYP's acting, and it's pretty good. I give it to him. He's like, trying to catch the feeling, catch the moment there. But you understand that he's having to say goodbye. Like he's like going to not pursue the relationship because he doesn't want to see her get hurt by any of that. And so at the end, when they reunite for this performance, and there's that look where they look at each other, and he's thinking about like what could have been, like like what we could have had together, and he can't, you can't even like really acknowledge it. You can't go there, you can't get into it. So he's just got to like turn around and walk away. And it's a pretty deep concept, right? Like the idea of it. And that's why it just hit me at the end, like with that last shot. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, this hurts for some reason all of a sudden, right? But that's why. And but it's good. It's good. It's the 80s was very angsty, and it was a part of the music, like, not all the music that was going on, because there were different things going on just like now, but in some of that stuff that you hear, any 80s movie, right? Like you listen to the soundtrack, and there's always, one of these songs that has this angsty sort of feel, right? And it is just trying to catch that spirit, that rebellious type of angst that was going on. And a lot of it is a coming of age thing too, because you're having to deal with the onset of reality and time, and it's not fun, like it's something that you want to somehow take, like stop it. You want to stop it. You want to challenge. You want to be able to like say, no, I'm beyond this or something. But of course, nobody is. But it churns up that angsty feeling, right? And a lot of that was infused into the music of the time. But it's actually really, really well done.
자, 이번 수서는요, 아주 특별한 재결합 무대인데요. 30년
And
만에
is she a
함께
real
무대에
MC?
오르는
'Cause
80년대 아이콘
I feel like I've
박진영
seen her
씨와 김원선
before.
씨를 무대 위로
The
모시도록 하겠습니다.
MC in
나와주세요.
this scene, like she looks so familiar. I want to say I've seen her on Knowing Brothers, but I'm not 100% sure, right? But it's like, see the stage setup, you know what I mean? Like this makes this. I'm like, oh yeah, Nizzy Project. Like this is what goes on now. Like this is what happens now. And so I just like thought of, put these two ideas together, and it's obviously got to be like at the forefront of JYP's mind, because it's always
우리
going
박진영
on.
씨와 김원선 씨는 80년대에도 최고의 무대를 보여주셨었는데, 와, 이렇게 30년 만에 함께 다시 무대를 선 기분 어떠십니까?
진영 씨와는 그 예전에 좋은 추억들이 많았는데
the audio compression, right? Like it cuts to a flashback scene, and then all of a sudden it's like I'm talking to a channel, and like there's a little bit of echo. You know what I mean? Like that. If that to reinforce the idea of nostalgia, right? Because like there's time separating these things.
만나게 돼서 너무 기쁩니다.
박진영 씨는요?
그때 모습 그대로신 것 같아요. 또 함께 30년 전에 했던 무대를 다시 하게 돼서 정말 뜻깊게 생각합니다.
두 분의 합동 무대 지금 바로 시작합니다.
She's very cute. The audio compression stays on the vocal, right? These opening lines, I'm a changed man, it still has that real heavy audio compression, and there's like you can hear like static, like a tape, like it's just an old tape recording, right? And it very, very the production on it, right? It's very nostalgic. Lifting that compression off with the percussion, right? Coming in on those drum hits, pop, pop, pop. And then big, bright, like now you get the whole synth sound, right? And it's very cool. Oh, this is such a great, it's like analog sound. It's fantastic. So there's synth, you hear that bum 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 bum. That's one synth sound, but there's another one that's kind of behind it. That's like an arpeggiator. It's going very, very fast. It'd be 16 notes, and it's just doing the arpeggiating the chord, right? That's being played in the progression there. So layered synth and then like super punchy electronic percussion.
아무리 그렇게 날 봐도 그런 눈빛 하지만 no no 난 이제 달라졌어 미안해 반가웠어 잘 지내하면 돼 but 나도 모르게 순식간에 내 의지와는 상관없게 또 다른 내가 움직이네 내 안에 아직 살아있는 past man.
So some of it is real. You know what I'm saying? Like some of this it's true. It's like it's partially true because of the history there. But it's great. The looks, you know, the aesthetic, the outfits, the choreography. You know what I mean? Like it's all such a throwback. It's done really well, man. It's done really well. The lines are great too. It has that 80s style, you know. His vocal delivery on it is very appropriate. Like he's knows this sound probably better than most anybody in the industry today because he was like there for it. But it's very well done, man. It's very well done. That jacket. Yeah, the hair, the bow, the dress. So there's like 3 different synths now. There's a bass synth that you can hear at the beginning of each measure. It goes bum, bum. And then that, you know, other synth that's chunking the chords, bum, bum, bum. And then the arpeggiator also. So there's actually like the whole mix is written in 3 parts synth, right? Is it really him? It's like, you know, because I would believe that he could still move like that. You know what I'm saying? But the way that the shot is done, the scarf, right? Like the covering of the face, you know, it could be legit a double, right? Like it could be somebody else who's younger. But I wouldn't put it past JYP if this dude could still move that way. It's pretty smooth, right? Oh, you hear that sound, siren? It's a wow, wow, and it's just panning back and forth between the right and the left, right? So danger, wow, wow, like it's cool. There's little effects in here that are done very programmatically, like to match the lyric, right, and even the scene also. A very one of those details, right, like one of those meticulous kind of touches.
선 이거 완전히 허물어지기 직전만 더 스친다면 만 더 느낀다면 같아서 여기서 더 다가갈 수 없어 살짝 흔들려.
Oh, even those newspaper headlines, right? That was old school, right? It was like that looked like some older print edition, like articles and stuff there. Ah, man. And this back, you know what I mean? Like because I started to see this synth wave, retro wave type of aesthetic that was coming back, right? And I mean that was even a few years ago. But these types of scenes, right? You could find these, like you could legit look these up on YouTube, right? And it has the cool sun setting in the background, and then the foreground will move. Like sometimes it's that car driving down the road or the cityscape like this, and it like this is brilliant. Like this is so perfect, right? For a JYP. It's like, yeah, that's so obvious.
네 눈엔 안 보여 맘속에서 나를 넘어 별을 지나서 나도 절대 안 보여줘 완벽한 내
Great drum fill.
젠틀하게 돌아서 내 아쉬운 맘은 묻어둔 채 I'm a changed man 안타깝지만 여기까지.
The drum fills are fantastic. The percussion, around these the production around the percussion, right? All these hits, they have like a very nice sustain on them, right? It's just like a splash whenever you get a hit, right? And it has a little bit of a resonance and a little bit of depth too. Like these are electronic percussion sounds, but they're not so narrow. You really hear like the actual pocket of all of these electronic sounds. So when it's electronic, it's very blocky and it's very like right angles and everything, as opposed to being sort of smooth and undulating. But it's done so well, and like the pockets on these drum hits are incredible. This bridge section too, like there was a very dynamic drum fill on the end of the last phrase. And moving into here, there was a really just big, massive hits that went panned from right to left. So do 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 do, and then we transitioned into this bridge-like section where a lot of the mix kind of subsides and dies down a little bit, and JYP just kind of does his vocal thing here.
젠틀하게 돌아서 내 아쉬운 맘은 묻어둔 채 I'm a changed man 안타깝지만 여기까지만 어차피 아무도 모르니까 아쉬움은 내 마음 속에서만 아무리 흔들려도 네 눈엔 안 보여 맘속에서 나를 넘어 별을 지나서 난리 나도 절대 안 보여줘 완벽한 내 control 젠틀하게 돌아서 내 아쉬운 맘은 묻어둔 채 I'm a changed man 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 I'm a changed man.
Great ending, great finish to that vocal line. Really nice. Wow. It's for me personally, this has a lot of nostalgia. I grew up with a lot of this sound and a lot of this aesthetic and a lot of this feel. I just so even for me, even though I'm a little bit younger than JYP, he's the generation before mine, but I remember being very young and and hearing these sounds and all these types of concepts, this was written into everything. Everything was this angsty sort of love story, and so I relate in an unexpected way. I wasn't sure what to make. Like I didn't know what this was gonna do. This song, of what direction we were gonna go in. I didn't even know if it was gonna have like an '80s sound to it. But it's pure '80s. And so yeah, I really relate to it on an unanticipated level, and I'm even old enough now to be able to relate to the feeling. You know what I mean? Like I understand definitely the it's right here. This, like, if you know, but there's this part in particular. It's like I get it. You can't change time. You can't do it. And you have to just keep moving forward. And it's very, very relatable in a lot of different contexts. But man, when JYP does his thing, he's pretty much flawless with it. He's got the choreography, he's got the vocals still, man. It's great songwriting. The production is like this is really good. Like somebody had to really appreciate the '80s sound in order to get this to sound right, like the way it does. So it's like I absolutely love it. I adore it, man. It's just fantastic, and they look so cute, man. Like this, she's beautiful. She's still beautiful, man. Like, and just to, like, God, there's gotta be like some of this is for real. Like, you know what I mean? Some of it's playing the part, it's acting for but some of it is real. Like some of this, actually does translate it and it goes back. But I think they look incredible. She's still quite beautiful. Man, it was fun. It was fun, and it was very nostalgic and a little bit touching, just because of, like I said, the way that this even takes me back. But it's fantastic. I'll forever give JYP all the credit in the world, because to be able to do what he does, there's no one else I'd rather emulate or follow or be like in the world than JYP. He's living the life, like he's doing the thing. It's that I wouldn't, like, that's exactly what I want to do, right? It's like everything about it. It's just everything is on point. Everything is where it should be. But it's very cool, man. It's very cool. I think they did a wonderful job with the sound, with the arrangement, the use of synth, very, very specific, particular synth sounds. Like this was, I'm sure for JYP, this was a bit of a passion project. But even if you're doing like the production on it or something, you know what I mean? Like, oh, we're gonna go looking for some old school analog synth sounds. Oh yeah, dude, I'm all about it. You know what I mean? Like searching out for that old school Rhodes synthesizer or something. You know what I mean? Like, just, well, that's so cool, man. That's so cool. And all the little production touches, the use of compression and the use of reverb and all this to create this sort of a dream like nostalgic sort of glitter, right? Like this resonance to everything that because they're rather rich sounds. Like the synthesizer's a very, very strong sound, and this is very much the way that it would have been used in the 80s. There are different examples. I like Hall & Oates. Like I kind of dig the way they use synthesizer. It's a little bit different. It's a little bit unique to their type of groove. when they used it. But this is very, very apropos for the decade, for the, you know, the sound of the time. And it would just have been really fun to go looking for those old sounds and put together, you know, like a true 80s, you know, pop dance type of love song. Like they used to make them back in the day, right? This is one of those things where they used to make them like this all the time, you know. It's different if you look at something like Twice's I Can't Stop Me or something, right? Like, obviously that is a very 80s sound, but there are things in the production and in the songwriting. In other words, it's like a very contemporary 2020s take on the 80s, where this is like pure 80s. You know what I mean? It's being made now, but right down to the production treatment and the specific sounds that are being used. When you listen to I Can't Stop Me, it sounds very modern. It's like the synth sounds don't have that much of an analog quality to them. It still sounds great. I think, you know, there's a lot of very smooth and well balanced and very much perfect sounds when it comes to the digital clones and versions of some of these different sounds. But putting in the work to go back and like capture this 80s type of sound, it's a fun thing. Like, if you're gonna do it and you're gonna do it right, it's a fun thing to do. Like, it's very much like a little project there. It's a bit of an undertaking for sure, but I think this is a very incredibly nostalgic and sweet song. It really is. It's got that angsty feel to it, but the meaning of it, the sort of underlying like theme of this is it's very endearing. It is. That was great, man. JYP, man, he's still doing it. It's crazy. Like, he's still doing it. Not only is he still doing it, but he's even doing like the 80s thing. He's totally like bringing it back from time, like it's just plucking it out of that decade and dropping it here. But this must have been a blast, you know, all of it. The writing, the recording, the production, the music video, getting these shots, doing these different scenes, writing this, you know, storyboarding this. I mean, coming up with the idea, matching the concept to the visual, like everything was. This must have been a blast to make, dude. This must have been really, really fun. That was very cool. I wonder if it, like, because I don't, when I look at JYP's discography, let's say, it's more sparse than I would think. Unless there's like other recordings and stuff that maybe go under a different name, like a group name or something like that. But when you look for his standalone stuff, a lot of it is these, you know, well, like Switch to Me, for example, with Rain. I mean, that's really like a Rain song, you know? And he'll do like this, you know, it seems like this occasional single, right? Like, I don't know if this is supposed to be an album release, but I mean, you know, like Groove Back, like that was that single that dropped, right? Changed Man. That, like, it's like every so often he'll just drop that one song, right? And then maybe do the video along with it, which I can understand, because the schedule must be insane, you know what I mean? Like, to even do this is like, wow, okay, you found the time to do it. But yeah, so I'm this is one thing I'm curious about, because I look at the discography, I look at, and it's like, it seems like there would be more, unless, like I said, there's earlier stuff that I'm not looking up the right name. Like, it's not just going to be under JYP, it's going to be under some other name. I'll have to figure that out. But this was really, really beyond, you know, what I anticipated or expected. This was very, very enjoyable for a lot of reasons. JYP, Changed Man. I can't believe it. He's still doing it, man. He's still at it.